What's up, everyone? This is Jay from Revolution Radio. And I had an interesting conversation with my son. We were learning about West African storytellers. They're called griots, um, which I have better confidence in myself explaining them than I do saying the word, because I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. But griots, I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, they are storytellers predominantly from West Africa, and they will spend years practicing and memorizing stories, and all in an attempt to pass down culture, tradition, belief, and lore to their communities. And me and my 7-year-old, we were learning about them as part of his school assignment, which I thought was really cool. So we're reading about them, and he asked me kind of an interesting question, one I had a hard time answering. He says, "How come we don't have traditions in America?" And I said, "Well, we do. We do. It's Halloween, Christmas." And he says, "Yeah, but not like these traditions. These traditions, you spend time with your family, you tell stories, you play games." And I said, "Yeah, we do that too." And he said, "Yeah, but only certain people can do these traditions." And that got me thinking, what do you mean certain people? I mean, he's 7. He doesn't have an ideological stance on the world right now. So I asked him, I said, well, what do you mean by that, bud? And he told me about last year in in school when one of his classmates was crying pretty pretty violently, from the way I understand. It's very sad all day. And he finally asked him what was wrong. And he said, he told my son, "Well, my mommy can't buy Easter this year, so I won't have Easter." And it really affected my son, I guess, to the fact that he remembered, for one. And two, I do remember that weekend because he kept asking me if we have enough money to buy Easter. And I thought that was crazy. For one, anyone who thinks people don't talk like that, you would be surprised. I worked in a major box retail store for many, many years, and many adults, that was how they would say that. They would say, "Oh, we've got to buy Valentine's Day. We have to buy Thanksgiving, so we need to watch our money." I heard that phrase a lot. It was really weird to me because I came from a poor family. You you even buying nothing, but it was still always stressful during the holidays. So he said, "It seems like only certain people can afford our traditions. Why?" And that was like a kick to the stomach because it's something I've never thought about really. And he's 100% right. Yeah, you're gonna celebrate Easter. If you're a good parent, you'll boil some eggs, you'll dye them. Wonderful. But it's not the Easter that they see on TV. It's not the Easter that is sold to them. Christmas, if you're a downtrodden family, you're not gonna have the big gifts, the car. I don't know how many times I see Christmas commercials where people are giving each other cars, which to me is just insane. Who has that kind of money? I swear to God, that's made for like 1% of the country, and it probably is. But that's not tangible. But unfortunately, it leaves us as people feeling like failures when we can't live up to that standard. And to our children, they believe that they're not as good. In turn, we grow into that as well. I thought I would look into this a little bit because I thought, how expensive is a holiday? Now, I know Christmas is going to be a big one, but what about some of the other ones? And mind you, that the average person in America makes about $8.50 an hour. That's before taxes, by the way. And, all other expenses. The average rent in America is $725. So, going from there, you can understand that most people don't have that much money. So, anyway, I decided to look this up. On Halloween, as Americans, we spend about $8 billion. By the way, that money is more than all corporate donations to foreign aid. That money is more than Morocco makes in an entire year. $8 billion, which translates roughly into about $80 per person in America. And I don't mean per child. So, and I think there are caveats. Are the parents dressing up or not? If the parents aren't, then you're just spending that $75 on the child. But it roughly breaks down to about $20 to $40 for costume, $10 to $20 in candy. The decorations go from anywhere from uh, $15 to $100, depending on how quote unquote festive you are. But on average, $75 per person, which is a lot of money for a holiday that at one point you threw a sheet over your head, you grabbed a tiki torch, and you hung out with the Trumps. I'm kidding. No, but you really did. You came up with the you know creative costume that you made with your friends. You grabbed a pillow sack, you used that as a bag, and you went door to door to get candy. Now, I never lived in that time, but I do remember my parents talking about it. Easter. It's our next most expensive holiday, the one we were just talking about. I thought 8 billion was a lot of money. Americans spend $16.5 billion on Easter. Yeah, just blowing Halloween out of the water. The average person spends about $140. Um, Interesting side note about Easter, 1.5 billion peeps are consumed. You know those things that we hate? And 16 billion jelly beans are consumed as well. Now, Easter spending is a little bit different because you got to think about the eggs, the candy, all of that stuff, which is probably where most people are like, "Why? How do we spend that much more on Easter?" But then there's also the clothes, the meals, and traveling. Now, I mean, if you're a breadwinner or just a contributor to a family, you understand that all of that goes into the holiday. You can't just spend $100 on Easter candy and then have an Easter dinner. You know it's not going to work out. All that money goes into something. And so, yeah, about $140 per person for Easter. Again, if you're a single mother, how do you really make that happen? How do you just make an extra $140 pop up? And most people, by the way, according to this article that I read, most people have no idea what they spend on during the holiday seasons. So it's not like something you even prepare for. Not like you even really have the opportunity. Anyway, the third most expensive holiday, Valentine's Day. I didn't expect it to be number three. I actually expected 4th of July to be higher up than what it is. But anyway, Valentine's Day, it's pretty much self-explanatory where that money goes. But we spend, as a country, $18.9 billion and around $200 per person. Now, the only caveat with this and only interesting fact about Valentine's Day is that men typically spend $300, women typically spend about $100. So you kind of meet in the middle. Um, and another interesting thing I learned from this article too was that one of the most growing businesses during Valentine's Day is actually gifts for your animal, which is weird. I would never get my cat a Valentine's Day present. I don't have a cat, so it'd be really, really weird, but I still find that odd. And number two, this one shocked me. Now, they did combine these two holidays together, but I get why. Number two was Mother's Day and Father's Day. Now, that's really, really weird. I didn't really think about it, but it does kind of make sense when I explain it to you. So, we spend $21 billion on those two holidays combined, and the average person spends about $300. Now, the reason why is because if you spend and the average person spends about $170 on their mother. It's hard not to. It's your mom. She gave birth to you. She took care of you. She wiped your butt. You are where you are because of your mom or your father, and he got them both. But the average person spends about $170 on their mom and about $120 on their dad. And yeah, you can't say, well, I'm going to spend $10 on dad, even though mom and dad, if they're good parents, they don't want you to spend money on them, but you feel like you got to. And I completely understand that one. But there we go. There again, there's this weird idea of paying tribute to your parents. For what? I mean, yeah, like I said, they raised you, they did all this great things for you. And most parents don't want you to buy them stuff, but we still feel like we have to. Now, I'm getting somewhere with all of these little points I keep putting in here. And number one, you guys could have guessed it, Christmas. $630 billion. Yeah, that's how much we spend as a country. $630 billion. Now, to make matters worse, Christmas falls right in between all the other holidays. You really don't have much time to catch your breath when you're looking at Halloween, Thanksgiving, then boom, there's Christmas a month later. You might as well pack Christmas in with New Year's Eve. That's an important holiday. Then Valentine's Day, Easter. You have a nice little gap where you have July until the 4th of July, and then you're right back at it. But not only is Christmas just hunkered down there like it is, the average person spends about $820 during the Christmas season. That's insane. All other stores that aren't even retail talk about a boom during the Christmas season. Why? Because people are out shopping. And when they're gonna shop at your malls, your big box stores, wherever, they're traveling a lot. So they stop to get food, they stop to get beverages. I know that was a huge thing. Like when you're out in the morning shopping for Christmas junk, people always stop by Starbucks. There was just tons and tons of people, I remember, just this last year when we did it. $630 billion, by the way, is a disgusting amount of money. I mean, it's insane. But anyway, so we have all these numbers here, and it shows how much we spend on holidays. We've, in a way, we've ruined these holidays because it's not about being with your family anymore. Sure, we say that, but if it was, why would we have to feel justified by spending $820 to be with our family? They're our family. But you don't, if you feel like you're not as good, if you can't contribute that big gift. So many of us really just want to either A, make people happy by giving them something, or B, prove that we can give something because we got money, we're good. And most of us are not. The majority of us are not good. But it got me looking into more because what my son said about certain people being able to afford holidays, or tradition, as he said. Why is that? Why do we feel like we have to do that? Is that a form of, I don't know, some sort of, I don't want to say racism, but there seems to be something very systemic about the idea of us having to afford holidays. Well, it's not. It's not. It goes for everybody in general. One sweeping motion. And what it is is it's the giant corporations, and namely, it's marketing, because they make us remember a memory that we had of Christmas morning. You wake up really early, you got your PJs on, you're all excited, it's snowing outside, there's a fire, and it looks wonderful. The tree is huge and lit, and you're excited to open presents, and you're having fun with your family, and everyone's laughing and smiling. And they paint that picture, and they put a price tag on it, and they say, look, for $200, you can have this. See, look, it's the new Nintendo box thingy. Your child will have this experience. Your family will have this experience. Just buy this. Oh, and K Jewelers has this. Just give this to your spouse. She will love it. It'll be amazing. But when we think back about those memories, it was 7 degrees outside. We woke up at 11 o'clock. Breakfast was garbage. Your parents were fighting because they spent too much on Christmas. And you never got what you wanted because they're your parents. They never really knew what you wanted. They screw things up. That was Christmas. But they sell us on this fake idea of these holidays that are just so amazing. And for some reason, we remember them even though they never happened to us. It's marketing. It's all marketing. And when you look during the holiday seasons, the percentage in which marketing resources go up is about 228%, meaning they're spending so much more marketing during those holidays to make you think that you have to have this to have the best holiday you can have. Now, look, I don't know if we're ever going to fix that. I think we might be in a place where we're going to have to because we don't have money to do it anymore. And yes, like my son said, these traditions will only be something that certain people can truly afford. While the others of us who don't have that kind of money, we're going to learn to love our family again. We're going to learn tradition. We're going to learn belief, culture, lore. Because all we're going to be able to give each other is tradition. Not going to be able to give each other fancy gadgets because we don't have that kind of money anymore. We're constantly being bought out. A new phone is over $1,200. Who can really afford that? But what we are going to have is experiences, talent, skills, these wonderful things that we can teach and show each other. I long for that time because I think we need it. What we have now is rather hollow. These toys and gadgets, which sure they're great and I love them. Look, I'm a gamer through and through, and I am awful about spending money. But they never fill that void. They never make you happy. In fact, the happiest memory I have is playing blues guitar with my dad. And that didn't cost a dime. In fact, encouraged me to get my first job to afford to buy a guitar for my uncle. And in turn, he taught me gardening. It was amazing. This is what we got to get back to, though. And I hope that we learn that we can't keep up with the Joneses. And because you don't have enough money to buy the perfect Easter dinner and all the Easter candy with the Easter clothes and the Easter hash and the Easter. You get me? That doesn't mean you don't have Easter. That doesn't mean you can't celebrate it. It doesn't mean you're any worse. It just means you're not a sucker who's blowing a lot of money on something that by the next 24 hours you're going to go, oh my God, how do I make up for that giant debt I'm in now? Yes, $140 to a poor family. That's a giant debt. Anyway, guys, just thought I would share that interaction with you. It was very interesting. I guess, like they say, from the mouth of babes. But anyway, curious about your thoughts on it. Um, let me know in the comment section. The YouTube channel is Community of Ideas. On Facebook, you can find me at JDylan, JAYDYLAN. On Twitter, it's JC Show VIP. And Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, and Google. Look up Revolution Radio. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Curious about your opinions. Have a great night.